there, welcome. Welcome to Homekeepers. Oh, why don't you grab a cup of tea and join us? We just have so many interesting guests and recipes and all of that good thing that we want you to be a part of. So hope that you can just stick with us for the next few minutes. If you're a brand new viewer, just welcome, welcome. I hope you feel that warm welcome. And I hope that our regular viewers know how much we appreciate them. So we all come together, and boy, do I have a good guest for you today. Her name is Aurea McGarry, and a testimony like maybe you haven't heard in a long time. I don't know of anything more wonderful to bring to you, good people out there, than a really good testimony, what the Lord has done. This lady has survived a horrible cancer where they told her she would never be able to talk again, that her voice would not be heard, domestic abuse, you name it, she's just about gone through it, and she is a living, breathing testimony of what the Lord can do. I really want you to hear what she had to say. And I'm going to join Stephanie. We're going to make, well, they're little broccoli and cheese patties, something that would be a really nice complement to any meal you might fix. And we'll show you how to do that. But before I do that, I want to again offer you this beautiful, beautiful pearl cross with the sparkly, with a pearl bracelet with a sparkly cross on it. We were out of them for a while, glad we could get some more. And they're such an amazing price. I don't know what you would pay for this if you bought it in a store, but for only $20. And anytime you request anything from us, it keeps us, keeps us on the air. So if you want to send a check for it, that's Box 6922, Clearwater, Florida 33758. Or call me if you have a credit card, a debit card, whatever. 1-800-229-0059. I keep waiting for Stephanie to memorize that, but it hasn't happened yet.
Not yet.
Okay, tell us what you've done so far.
Okay, I have 2 cloves of garlic, and I have a half an onion chopped up in here and some oil. And I'm just cooking it, sauteing it a little bit till the onions get translucent. We're just about done here. You have 2 eggs you're gonna beat for me.
Don't you think that most women have, if you're gonna have company, you have 2 or 3 things you like to fix? You know what my biggest problem is? I want something different for the vegetable.
Yeah. And I want something fabulous that they've never had before.
Yeah. So I thought we'd try this, and they really look good. Haven't tasted them yet.
I have a bag of frozen broccoli that we thawed out, and then we drained really good. We put in a paper towel and we wrung out because you
got to get all the moisture out.
Yeah, you don't want moisture. And I have panko crumbs, which you love.
I love those. Better than regular breadcrumbs, that's for sure.
Yeah, I have cheddar cheese.
I got a great big huge box of those at Costco.
Oh, really? And I have Parmesan cheese.
And a little salt and pepper, which we don't have right here, but I think with all this going on, you might not miss it.
Yeah.
And
you're going to do your job.
We cover everything because we don't want to wash it.
Yeah. Who wants to do dishes? Not me. Okay, so when we made this earlier, according to the instructions, I really couldn't make a patty. It was just falling apart. So we're going to see what happens here real quick.
And so because of that, we began to improvise, which every great cook has to do once in a while.
And I think we're going to have to. Yeah, I'm going to need 1 more egg.
Because, where'd they go?
In the fridge.
Well, I want to know who put them
away. I'm sorry.
You're the one that put them away?
I was trying to have a clean space.
Oh. No, we need to do this like the women do at home.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
1 more egg, and we're going to do a little more panko in there.
Okay.
And then I was able to make a nice patty.
So, if you get this, remember that we have...
You can adjust.
Yes. That's the name of the game, isn't it?
Yeah. With cooking, not with baking. Baking, you need to follow the directions.
How's that?
That's good. With baking, you need to follow the directions.
And you make patties.
Yep.
And you put it... You make it 400 on each side for about 15 minutes till they're nice and brown and crispy like these.
Yeah, see, this makes a nice patty.
Yeah, and wouldn't that be a nice compliment with any meal?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to know how it tastes.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't know how it could not taste good.
Yeah, everything in it is yummy.
What if you could do this with other stuff besides broccoli?
Probably cauliflower.
Mm.
Is it good?
Yeah, you want this. I just like it because it's different.
Yeah. Yummy.
It's not just,
so what
just
you
broccoli.
do is you bake it for 15 minutes on 400 and then you flip
it.
them.
Mm-hmm. Because you want it.
You want it crispy.
You want it exactly like this.
Yeah.
It
worked.
We pulled off a perfect one for once.
It worked. I'm so
and
happy.
we didn't have to,
no apologies, no
trying to get it out of the
Stephanie under
pan.
the bus. Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to have one more bite.
Yeah, it worked out
This
great.
really, and you could sure fix these ahead of time.
Sure.
So.
Yeah. Pre-planning. It's always a great thing.
So if you would like to have this recipe, we'll be glad to get it out to you. It's called baked cheese. My mother always told me not to talk with food in my mouth.
It's called baked cheese and broccoli patties.
And we will send it to you, and the information for that is coming up on your screen. And after that, I want you to meet Aurea McGarry. You will love her, I promise you.
If you would like a copy of today's recipe, just write to the address on your screen, or you can email your request to arthelene@rippy.org.
All right, Aurea, I want to welcome you to Homekeepers. Thanks for making time for us. We're going to talk about your book, I Won't Survive, I'll Thrive. That's kind of spitting in the devil's face, isn't it?
Yes.
How you overcame domestic violence, cancer, and much more. Folks, you got to read this book, but we'll try to just hit the highlights. How old were you when your father died?
I was 15 when he was murdered.
And your mom was trying to protect you from the fact that he was murdered, and told you he was killed in an accident, right?
Yes, she kind of had a feeling someday something bad would happen to him because he was such a Greek tycoon and you just never know who you get mad in that type of business. So when he was killed in that way, which is very brutal, and being 15, he was framed, taken to Boston from New York City, beaten on the head with a baseball bat, shot 3 times in the head.
It sounds like the mafia or
yeah, that's what they suspect. They never solved the mystery. It was really gangland style, they said. Gangster style. And when they threw him out of the car and just left him for hitchhikers to find, my mom didn't know how to tell her kids that. So she just simply said he was in a car accident and it was on his birthday. But I kept hearing her crying on the phone and saying more, and I knew there was more to it. So then I finally said, Mom, I know there's more, and she told us. She knew she eventually would.
Yeah.
But
were you close to your dad?
I was much closer to my mom because he worked so much. I was close to him that I loved him to pieces. They were divorced at the time, but he would come over on Sundays. He was my very intellectual force in my life. Very smart, Harvard graduate, top 10. Everything was about being the best, A+. So it was that part of my discipline life. My mom was an I Love Lucy. She was the fun one we skate with, so I was with her 24/7. So that was a different
She was
scenario.
very beautiful, was in commercials and things.
She did pro commercials in the Cosmopolitan magazine. She was a model and just fun-loving, great mom. So we were like best friends.
Was there church life at that point?
No. I did not get saved until I was about 20, I think I was 20 or 21.
Did you have any curiosity about people who went to church or?
Yes, I was in New York City and I went to Catholic school. So I did, and I always prayed, but I always felt like an outcast in Catholic school because I wasn't baptized Catholic. We were Protestant, but I went to Catholic school because it was one of the best ones in the city. But I was always shunned. I wasn't allowed to take communion. I wasn't allowed to do so much because I wasn't Catholic. So I felt a little bit like, okay, I love God, but I don't know.
Don't know where you fit in.
Yeah, I don't know where I fit in. And when I came to Florida, I met a minister that said, he heard God's voice. I'm like, what do you mean you heard God's voice? In Catholic school, we weren't allowed to read the Bible ourselves or any of that. It was all kind of spoon-fed to us at that point. So when he said that, I was like, what do you mean you heard from God? That was my revelation to, there's more to this. So I was really ready and open because I always loved God. I just didn't know how to.
Now, how old were you when you met this man? You had a brief courtship and got married.
Oh, I was like 21, 22, right in there. Brand new Christian. I just got saved. So he was like the first Christian boy I'd ever met, and he was a pastor's son. So I thought everything would get good, everything would be perfect.
Got your home free.
Yay,
Yes.
picket fence and
Pastor's
everything.
son, Christian. Were there any clues in the courtship that maybe he was a little abusive or a little aggressive?
Yeah, there are plenty of clues from the very beginning. Very, very demanding, very controlling, very jealous, in not a loving way. But at first I thought it was a loving way, because when you first start dating somebody,
Well, he really cares.
yeah, oh, he cares, of course. But then it got worse and worse and worse, and it escalated to other things. So.
Well, did you have any red flags along the way? Said maybe I shouldn't go ahead and make a vow with this guy.
I think I was in a whirlwind at that moment because I was so, like I said, a brand new Christian, and I was so in a whirlwind when I met a pastor's son, and they were Greek, so we had that in common, and they spoke Greek, so they read the Bible in Greek, so there was so much good going on that I kind of overlooked. I kept thinking this will get better. He'll settle in and realize that I'm as faithful as a golden retriever. I am not going anywhere. So when he said things like I needed to quit my job, I couldn't work at the pet store, I couldn't be a professional clown and be around other people, it kind of went over my head, and I thought, well, this will settle in and get better. Never did. It got worse. But I was just in a whirlwind.
You know, I've interviewed enough people. These guys are so predictable. They immediately try to isolate you, get you away from your old friends and so forth. And
Oh, yeah.
the same is true, you know, with the child molester. They're very, very predictable. You know, they call the grooming, you know, just getting the child ready. But you're very young.
Yes, yes. And I think about even younger because I was just a brand new Christian. So it was a whole, everything hitting me at once, where I had really Pollyanna glasses on in every way, thinking all Christians were perfect and everything was going to get perfect because it was a whole new life for me. So I was in that little tailspin. But I look back on it and I see just a young girl and I see how naive I was. But God was with me every step of all of it.
And you did marry him.
Yes, only after 3 months of knowing him, too. Big mistake. But
Yeah.
that's okay. Another big mistake.
I always-
Do we ever make mistakes when we're young? I don't know.
I always tell the single girls, if you date somebody who tells you a white lie or a fib, he's a liar, and you're
He's
going
a
to marry a
liar.
liar. And if he hits you in the courtship, he's going to hit you a whole lot more after you're married. So
yes. My book has a poem. One black eye is one too many. I don't care when you get it. And they don't change. You can't fix a person's personality. You can mold and blend to each other, and you do grow together, but you have to have some common ground.
well, a lot of times they're very, very sorry.
Oh, yeah, they're great at saying they're
repentant,
sorry.
and then you probably feel sorry for them. You know.
Exactly. You feel so. Oh, you do, and you feel
cycle.
you feel like that motherly instinct that it's okay, it'll be all right. But eventually, everybody has a different last straw. Mine came in 7 years. I talk to women now; they've been in it 35, 45 years. They've had broken arms, broken
What was
ribs.
the last straw?
I finally had it. I don't know what it was exactly, but I was tired of, I would clean the house perfectly. I was doing my Mary Kay career at the time, won a car, was making my own money, feeling better about myself, didn't even realize I was. And he came home screaming and yelling the windows weren't done. And I just had a full day of cleaning everything else and making money, you know, frying it up in the pan and everything. And I just said, get out.
That's it.
It was that, having that self-esteem from having my own business. I tell women, do things you love. Because if somebody's going to take that away from you, it's easy to pull down your self-esteem. When you're not around friends, family, your church, people that can, you know, care for you, and when you're not doing things that you love that make you feel good. It could be volunteering for your favorite charity, your nonprofit, but you have to do things that are important to you. You can't just be somebody's wife, that you have an identity to, or just somebody's mother. You've got to have something that God's called you to do as well.
Yeah, you know, God took the rib from Adam, didn't his head or his foot. He didn't do that. It means you walk side by side. All right, were you out of this marriage when you were diagnosed with cancer?
Yes, thank God. I say that literally because I was misdiagnosed so many times, and I had 6 different doctors tell me that I was okay. That if one doctor had told me I was fine, that person I was married to before would have never let me keep going back to doctors. He would have said, you're fine, they told you we're fine, don't be a hypochondriac. And I would have died from neglect. But because I was married to the right person, my husband I have now for 18 years, Brian, he wouldn't let me stop going to the doctor. He goes, something is wrong. And his mother got in on the game too and says, you can't breathe, there's something wrong, come see my doctor. And it was the 7th doctor, after 6 said you're fine, that said there's something wrong and found my cancer.
You were diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's
lymphoma,
and it's different than what I've heard. tell us everything they took out of you while you're sitting there.
They emptied it out.
Yeah.
Well, it started in my thymus, which is a gland here. So it spilled over to a lot of the different organs. So what they did when they opened me up, they weren't sure what they were going to find. So they opened me up in surgery and they took out the thymus where it was started to infect. Then they took out half of both my lungs where it spilled over to. The lining,
okay, thymus.
half of both my lungs.
Half of both your lungs.
The lining around my heart. Disconnected half my diaphragm. They told me I never hiccup again, but I do. And they took out the nerve to my vocal cord. And they said I'd never speak above a whisper. It would be impossible. And when I first woke up from surgery, this was all I could do. I couldn't talk any better than this. And they said, that's actually good. You're curable. The chemo will take care of the rest. So have a nice day. And at that moment, I did think about people have it worse. There's children that are sick. There's other people that have it a lot worse than me. So I said at that moment where in my heart, said, okay, Lord, show me how to live my life without a voice and you get the glory, or give me my voice back and you don't need my vocal cord to do that and you'll get the glory. Either way, I'm fine and let's move on.
That's a fabulous attitude. I hope that the viewers remember that, because that's the time you can really plunge into a pity party. Which does not help your recovery that much.
No.
So you came out with the right attitude toward the Lord and all that, and had a bunch of chemo.
Yeah, that almost killed me. The cancer was curable. The chemo literally almost killed me. I had to be hospitalized for every single one. I would throw up 18 times a day for 10 days straight and lose 10 pounds overweight. Not the diet I wanted to go on.
Right.
But they kept saying it's curable. We don't want to mess with the formulation. Just if you can just keep it up. So we kept praying. My husband was great. He brought me the Bible on tape, and I would listen to it in the hospital room just because I was living on the word that the scripture was healing and it was medicine. So I would listen to it. I listened to the whole Bible that whole time just on tape. I couldn't see it. My eyes were so blurry from the chemo that I couldn't even read a magazine. My eyes were so bad. But I could hear it. And I just kept, and sometimes all you can say is help.
Powerful.
It was powerful.
It's powerful.
It started coming, it was about a year or 2 years later, it started to show itself back. And everybody's like, what did you do? I used to be a singer. Oh, it's your training. No, it's not, because I don't have the cord there. You know, I couldn't have trained myself back into this.
Did you win some beauty pageants or something?
I did one to prove to women. I did Mrs. U.S. Beauty of Georgia after chemo, after I had lost the weight, gained weight, been bald, been through chemo. I wanted to show women you're beautiful. If you have a loving husband and he loves you, it doesn't matter what you look like, that you're still beautiful. And I won for Most Miss Inspirational, which is what I wanted to win anyway, because I wanted to really make a point that it's not about the outward beauty. I wasn't a size 2.
You are making a point, girl. That's for sure. Okay, how many years cancer-free?
14.
Praise God.
Yeah, 2014, it's 14 years.
Okay, let's talk about your life now.
Okay.
You have a, what's it called, Live Your Legacy. I thought I knew what legacy meant, but I looked it up, and this is a new twist that you've given this word, because legacy is something that you leave when you die, and you say, live it right now.
Exactly. Exactly. You don't want to just die and then somebody else figure out what your legacy was, and they put on your tombstone what you want, and they write about your obituary what they think your life is about. I'm about living your legacy now. What are you doing now to remember the way you want to be? You know, I know you might be somebody's wife or somebody's mother, and that's great. You have a part in that. You might be a student. You might be an 8-year-old. You have a legacy right now. I don't care how old or how young you are. And it's about finding it. You may not know what it is. It might be a talent, a gift. It might be you're the best volunteer on the planet, and that's what you get joy doing, and you go do it. We'll remember you as that person. But I just want people to take a moment, men, women, children, take a moment to think about when I die.
Why wait?
Yeah, why wait? What am I going to be remembered for? And I need to do something today besides just pay bills and survive and just go through the motions. I need to make time for, I really always wanted to play the violin, or I really always wanted to volunteer. You know how I was thinking, I'd love to volunteer if I had the time. Well, you know, what about an hour? What about 10 minutes? It's not always about, I need a month or I need a whole year. It's finding little pieces of your day to find something that makes a difference to you.
In fact, you're in St. Petersburg now to have one of these big things at the Hilton, and by the time this airs, it will have already taken place. But
we'll do more.
I have read some really wonderful comments that you really can charge these women up, and you don't know how much I believe in this kind of thing, because I've spoken for a lot of them, and after it's all over, you know, there's just one little thing, maybe here, there, that changes people's lives.
Those aha moments.
Yeah, when they take time to get away, you know, they plan, you go and you do. They're God moments. They are orchestrated by Him.
They are amazing. And so many times when you're going into the event, you're like, oh, I don't have time for this. It's a whole day. I don't. And when you get there, I see the connections that God makes, and I see people writing those rave reviews that started their own ministry because of it, or their own nonprofit, or they just started thinking more about, I do want to make more memories today. Even if it's just going out with my husband to lunch, or with my daughter for lunch today, that's a memory. You know, you can't buy that. So it's just a matter of taking time to pause and reflect and take action too. Because some people come there knowing what their calling is, and some have no clue, and they come in and find it.
Now, when you do these, do you give them a little bit of your background?
Yes.
Because I think there's nothing like a testimony. Nothing.
We
For
get
television or
testimonials.
anywhere else, you know, it just proves what, through the help of God and His grace, you can do.
Yeah, it's funny. Somebody once asked me, they go, what about people that like aren't Christians and don't believe? I said, it doesn't matter to me. People just know who I am. I don't preach to anybody. I say, this is what happened in my life. This is my faith. This is, people say, how do you stay so happy? How do you stay so joyful? Well, it's a choice, and it's also, it comes knowing that my life is in God's hands. So if my life ended at 38 years old when I got cancer, it would have been okay, because my next life is
Gonna be better.
Going to be better. People miss you, and yes, nobody wants to die. You know, it's never time. You don't say, okay, I'm ready now. You're never ready. But it's just that peace that passes all understanding, and you can't explain that. So I just let people know where my joy comes from, and then it's their choice.
How long have you been doing these?
Since 2011. This is my 7th one since 2011. And it's Live Your Legacy Summit, and we do a lot in Atlanta, but this will be my 2nd one in St. Pete.
Okay, and if I were there, what can I expect?
Great speakers teaching you on how to discover your legacy, how to promote it, how to publicize it, how to put it out on social media, especially nonprofits. We also have lunch, and we honor nonprofits. We honor your local heroes. So we've got 13 local heroes right here from St. Pete that are nominees and honorees, people that are living the legacy. They know their calling, they know what they're supposed to do, and we show them in action and applaud them, and they meet new supporters because of it.
I would think the ladies who come, you spark something that forces them to think, perhaps in a way they've never thought in their life. I think most people have their routine and their groove, and they really don't get out of it. And this is kind of what you're doing.
I hope so. They seem to love it. Some of the nonprofits get really great connections too. One of my vendors, we have 40 vendors in the room, just your local mom and pop shops and network marketers.
It's wonderful.
Great people. One of them got their network marketing company to give an $18,000 check to one of my honorees, because they love supporting girls that help girls. It was a perfect fit. I didn't do that. I brought them together in one room. So I'm like the matchmaker, and I just let God do His miracles, and matchmaking happens.
You do what I do.
Cool.
I just facilitate these great ministries so that the viewers can see them.
And let God do the rest.
And we've had your website up there for a while,
Okay.
so that people can, you know, follow what you're doing and keep track with your schedule and all.
Wonderful.
And I just hope this thing is a huge success. Thank you for coming by.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate
And for a
it.
wonderful testimony. Again, the book is I Won't Survive, I'll Thrive. And they get this on
It's on my
Amazon
website.
or a website or whatever. Yeah.
Anywhere bookstores are sold online, and my website, they can connect with me on my website.
Thank you. Come back and
Thank
see
you.
us.
I will. Thank
Okay.
you.
You stay with me. I have a couple things to say before we have to say goodbye.
Arthelene would like you to keep the following information handy. You may contact Homekeepers by writing to Homekeepers, P.O. Box 6922, Clearwater, Florida 33758, or go to www.rippy.org. Remember, we always enjoy hearing from our viewers, and we thank you for your support.
Isn't that an amazing story? Oh my goodness. We just constantly need to be reminded of the wonderful things that the Lord can do for you. Any area in your life, you know, with marriage, sickness, raising children, He can be trusted. Let me remind you again, we're offering you this pretty bracelet that goes with anything. You can wear it with your jeans, you can wear it all dressed up. It's got this, what they call the sideway cross with a little pearl band. And it's yours for that gift of at least $20 to the ministry. I think you'll really enjoy it. And you can write to me if you want it, Box 6922, Clearwater, Florida 33758. Or call our answering service, 1-800-229-0059. we'll be glad to get it out to you. I got a couple minutes. I want to share one of my favorite scriptures with you. I think it's so loaded for the life that we now live. Ephesians 5:15. Paul writes, "Therefore be careful how you walk." I'm going to stop there for a minute because Jesus walked everywhere. We see him on a donkey once, and we see him in a boat, but other than that, he walked everywhere. You know, people are still walking. It's an excellent metaphor. Careful how you walk, not as unwise men, but as wise, making the most of your time because the days are evil. Okay, I would assume that 100% of you agree that we live in evil times right now. And he said, be careful how you walk through these. Making the most of your time, that's what's important. You know, that's where we're all absolutely equal. I figured out, I think, two places where we're equal. We are equal at the cross, every one of us, sinners. And the other place is time. You know, Queen Elizabeth, with all of her money and power, she only has 24 hours in a day, and that's all I have. And so the writer here, the Apostle Paul, is telling us to be careful how we spend that time. That's what's important, that gift of time. And it just slips through our fingers with such foolishness, and I include myself in that. And yet the Bible says that you redeem it. So what's it talking about? I think the Bible is saying whatever you're doing, make sure it has eternity in it. And you think that sounds really spiritual, right? No, because I think when you're caring for your family, when you're establishing a good home, there's a lot of eternity in that. I believe that when you are doing the very best for your employer and going beyond the call of duty, that's full of eternity. When you are reaching out to a neighbor, when you put a little money in the bucket Christmas time for the Salvation Army, it's loaded with eternity. And so we're just about out of time, but let me suggest something to you. Why don't you just sit down for a minute and think about this great gift of time, and how much of it are you wasting, and how much of it really has eternal value in it? Think about it. Please join me next time, remembering there's no higher calling than that of a homekeeper. God bless you.
Miss a Homekeepers program, you can catch up by going to www.ctnonline.com. Click on CTN Programs and then on Homekeepers.